Hi, my name is Jennifer Speth, and this is my screencast for my blended learning course. So, for my topic, I chose second grade science, and I specifically chose the unit of matter. How I decided to approach this course was to just pick one unit and stick with the unit. So, that's kind of how I started off my project. So, here you can see I have my header. I have gas, liquid, and solid as my whiteboard, and as you can see, I'm pointing to the Classwork tab. In Google Classroom, if you're not familiar with it, the stream page is kind of where you keep most of your announcements, and the Classwork tab is where all of your work is. So I always want to point that out to my students. So the first thing is the stream page can just be used for announcements. I made a welcome announcement, just another announcement kind of explaining how the stream page works. I invited students to join our class Flipgrid, so I can just kind of post anything here. If there's a special assignment, I can tag it here or just put reminders as needed. Let's now head over to the classwork section. So in my classwork section, I have a start here section. I have a place for students to make an introduction using Padlet, which is a Web 2.0 tool where they can use voice recording or video recording and text to make an introduction. I also have a pre-assessment. Here I have a short pre-assessment where students can show me what they know about matter, as well as they can self-evaluate how much they think they know, how they're feeling about this topic. Maybe they know a lot about it, or maybe they don't really know much. So this is a great place for the students to start. So I have the start here section. Then I have my course information section. I have my teacher contact information, my course description, my syllabus, which I have tagged as a Google Doc. Students can open it and they have a view-only access to it. So here I have, more detailed information. I have my Twitter, my Google Classroom code, my contact information, the summary of what we'll be learning about, the standards, our weekly outline, point values, what's due each week. You'll see that I've included hyperlink text to bring you right to another Google Doc for directions for the group assignment, how they're being assessed and evaluated, and of course, school policies and references. I do have a quick link for classroom policies for students, even though it is described in more detail in the syllabus. And I also have a reference sheet. Next, I have an open discussion forum. So in my open discussion forum, this is just an area where students can use it to ask questions. Classmates can see the discussion forum. They can respond, or I can respond. This is something that does not have a due date. They can kind of use it however they want. Throughout the course, if I needed to make a new one, I could, but I just leave this here as an open discussion forum. There's no content behind this one. This is just for students to ask questions. They could also ask questions on the stream page, but I did want to make two areas for students to ask questions just because, these are second graders and I want to make sure that they have the right tools to ask questions. I want them to know that I'm here, and so are their classmates. Next, we're moving into lesson 1. So the way I broke up this course is I broke it up into different lessons. So I have an introduction week. I have 4 main lessons, which bring us to week 5, a performance task or group project, which is week 6, and then our final week, which is review and post-assessment in week 7. So this is really broken up into like a 7-week unit. And that's how I do it just generally in my classroom. So it kind of just correlates to how I do it in real life in my classroom. So lesson 1 are what are the properties of matter? I included directions for the lesson. I included book pages as references, and I did reference this in my course information. I have included a video that they can watch. I included an Edpuzzle lesson. And I included a lesson check. I did include a lesson check for each lesson just to make sure students are understanding each different topic. And this way I can check those grades right away and see how they did and see who I need to check in with. For my class, I use Google Meeting, and we have the ability to use breakout rooms, which are individual rooms, or small rooms for small groups. So this gives me an opportunity to see if somebody really, missed the ball, if they're not understanding something, and I can check in with them. So I like to do a weekly check, and it's just a short 5 questions. I can open it to show you. And it's just very simple questions. I use lots of pictures to help them describe what they are doing here. Okay, next we're moving on to lesson 2. So lesson 2, once again, I have directions, book pages. In this one, I did create a discussion question. So for the discussion question, I wanted to make sure I included something that was content related for this one, and it did have higher level thinking questions. So what they do is they just click the question and they can answer it. And then once again, I have another lesson check for week 2. Moving on to week 3. I have my directions and book pages again, and then I have screencasts that I had made and created for students. So I included this 2 different ways. I included Google Slides, so that way they have the hard copy, so to speak, of what I was doing, so they could go back and look at it at their own pace. So they have access to view this Google Slide document. And within the document, I embedded my own videos of what I had recorded. So you'll see they have this for both for cooling and for heating. So I provided the Google Slides for the cooling and heating. But then what I also did was I included my YouTube video that I had made. So I made a screencast of me going over the slideshow presentation. So this really gives the students opportunities to learn in whichever way they want. They could use just the YouTube video to watch and understand, or they can go back and review with the slideshow information. I like that I'm giving students both types of multimedia presentation to understand that topic. And this kind of replaced experiments for me. In 2nd grade, we do lots of experiments with cooking and with cooling, and this gave me an opportunity to be able to do that with them while we're working virtually. I did include another Edpuzzle assignment here. And if you're not familiar with Edpuzzle is a Web 2.0 tool where students can watch videos and answer questions throughout it. It does send them a grade, and then the grade is hooked up to the grade book here, which I will be going over in a few moments. I do once again have a lesson check for lesson 3. Lesson 4, once again, directions and book pages. I included another Edpuzzle activity here. In this lesson, I included a Flipgrid assignment where students have to use Flipgrid to make a video to explain to me the difference between reversible and irreversible changes. Once again, this is using a higher level thinking question and using multimedia in a different way. And then they also have their lesson 4 check. Next, we're moving on to the performance task. So this will be later on after the 4 main lessons. So this is going to be week 6 of a performance task. This is when students work together. Now, I have a build a boat. So they're basically working on building a boat, reconstructing, redesigning, testing it, and they have to work together on this. So I want to point out a few things. First, I want to show you that I did make a rubric so students can see the rubric right on Google Classroom. So I have it posted here, but then I also have it posted within the directions. So they have it posted in 2 places, the same rubric, and the rubric is connected to the Google Classroom gradebook. I also voice recorded the directions here, so students can click on this and listen to the directions. So this is a way that I incorporated voice. So for students that maybe have trouble still reading in 2nd grade, I'm giving voice directions here. I do have the directions, and I also have the rubric underneath. Now for this assignment, one of the parts is using Kami. Kami is another Web 2.0 tool for taking notes on top of the PDF. So they have the PDF here, and they also have a direction link and how to open it with Kami if they're unfamiliar. So I did include those resources for students as well. However, we've been doing this in my class for the whole school year now, so this is something that they're already familiar with. However, I did include the directions and also the link to open it with. Next, so for each group, this is their workspace to be using to work on their slideshow presentation together. Now, I didn't want students to just create a regular slideshow. I wanted students to be able to collaborate and work together. So for this group project, we will be utilizing Google Meetings with breakout rooms for students to work together. Myself and our teacher moderator in our room will be joining students in the breakout rooms to help answer questions and guide them. However, students kind of have a blank slate here to work. So what I did was I kind of went over what I needed to know from them: materials, define a problem, plan and build, test and improve, redesign, and conclusion. We have been, all of our science lessons this whole school year have been with the same format. So they know what these terms mean. They know what define a problem means. They know what plan and build means. And we also have gone through it before. So do I want their slideshows to just be blank and white? Of course not. This is just a template for them. They know how to change their background, make the slides fun, and incorporate images and videos. So they each have an area that they will work in. And then they also have a project evaluation. Now for their project evaluation, they have to tell me how well they think they did as a group. They're going to identify their group members. They're going to tell me which part of the project they were responsible for, how they feel their group did, how they feel they did. They're going to tell me something they felt they did really well on, something that they could have improved on, and just an open space for anything else that they want to share with me. Self-evaluation is very important when you're working in group projects. Lastly, in week 7, we will wrap up this unit by completing review materials. So I just included the book pages for review. A Quizlet. Quizlet is another Web 2.0 tool that we can use to study terms. They have the final assessment. Now, what's great about the final assessment, the questions are very similar to the lesson checks that they did throughout the unit. However, using Bloom's taxonomy, they are just a little bit of a higher level thinking question. So throughout the unit, I tested their skills and I was checking in on them to make sure they were understanding the skills. But now this is their chance to really apply what they've learned. So it is 10 questions. They have to go through and answer each part of the questions. If you noticed, I use different pictures, again, charts, and different things like that. And then when they are done with the final assessment, the very last thing that they have to complete is the course self-assessment. This is where they tell me, how well did you think you did? Did you meet your learning goals? How do you feel like you did on the final assessment? How would you rate the work for the course? Something you struggled with, something you did well on. And also, what could I have done better to help you? So, as a teacher, we are still always learning. This is not something that I am perfect at. I will never be perfect. So this is something where students can have the opportunity to tell me what I could have done better to help them, or maybe an assignment or an activity that they didn't love that I could have changed for next time. So to recap, the Web 2.0 tools that I have used for this course include Padlet, Flipgrid, Edpuzzle, videos, and Quizlet. These are all interactive tools that I feel like students really enjoy using. They're all 5 types of media. I have used hyperlinks, collaborative tools such as Google Slides and Google Breakout Rooms. They are games and a lot of lessons that they really, really love. I have included discussion boards, open forums, as well as content information, and the group project, which I think that students will work really well on together. And they'll use their videos and pictures in the presentation, and then as well they have to present to the class. So we're really getting to see different sides of what they have understood. I used a pre and post assessment. I use a self-check after the group project and the post assessment. And I feel like I've covered all of the points on the checklist and the rubric for this course. I know that the course did say it could just be 3 to 4 lessons over the course of a week. However, it just felt more appropriate for me to do weekly lessons and checks for over the course of 7 weeks for this. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to go over more details. Thank you so much for watching my screencast, and I hope that you enjoy my lesson. Thank you.